Looks like we're recording. All right, episode 9 of OGV. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. We got subscribers starting to grow. Lex is out this week, but we have maybe our most important guest we've ever had. He is the first recurring guest on OGV. He went on one of the vlogs, as you can see, but as well, this is his first time doing this sort of format, so we're excited to have him. He's one of the best, funniest guys in all of show business, not just sports media. He's the host of the Golf Subpar podcast and Gravy and Sleaze on Sirius XM with Colt Knost. It's Drew, the It Factor, the Sleazy Man Stoltz. Thanks for coming on again, brother.
A lot of names. What an intro, dude. That's a lot to get in there. I appreciate you having me back on. It's been a while, but good to be back with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive right into it. Not going to waste a whole lot of your time here. What's the Max Homa media tour been like for you? Because I'm seeing you're going on all these shows. This is great. It's kind of like how Max Homa just went on a tear of going on everyone's podcast. So what's that been like? What's the media tour been like, and how's that been?
Yeah, it's been fun. I feel like in the last, I don't know what you want to call it, couple months or whatever, I've been getting a lot of, people reaching out, hey, will you come on the show, things like that. And it's more like, for anyone that's seen our show, it's just like everyone calls me Sleaze. That's what all my friends around here call me, but like there's not a lot of background or whatever. So a lot of telling my story, how I came up from my playing days, college, all that stuff, how I got into doing these shows, both on Sirius and Golf Subpar. So it's been fun to be on the other side, dude. Because like you, I know what it's like to prepare for an interview, get ready, do the background, all that stuff. So it's interesting seeing the different questions you get from some people, how fun that, some are a little more lighthearted, some are a little more serious, different topics and things like that. But it's been fun, man. It's been a good time.
It's almost like the star player, the media star that just gives back. He's just letting the next generation, leading the new wave of sports media members.
Well, I know what it's like to be the guy asking the questions and, kind of initiating the conversation like you're doing here. And I know the kind of guests that we have that are awesome. When we get done, I'm like, dude, that guy was the best. Like he gave a lot. And so I can empathize with that situation. I try to be like, what kind of guest do I like to have? Let's be like that guy. So maybe sometimes I give too much of an answer or ramble like too much, but from my opinion, and the guys we've had, them like more is better than less. You know what I mean? The short answers and the things like that can be tough to work with. So I just try to, give them as much as they can, because everybody out there is doing the same thing. They're working, they're hustling, they're trying to build their brand and things like that. And I can appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's less work for me. I just let you go. It's awesome. I see we just talked about it briefly, the weight room. I saw you doing like an Instagram live earlier. It was probably a few weeks ago. And you had the same backdrop, the weight room there. Yeah. Are you trying to Bryson it here? Are you making some adjustments, trying to just go straight distance? What's the deal with the weight room in the background?
Yeah, expect a lot of shirtless selfies to be coming out on my social. I'm a big shirtless selfie guy. No, this is actually a little temporary working situation here. So I'm actually in the midst of moving right now. So we have a temporary spot where I'm living right now, and this has kind of become the default office, if you will. So this is in the background here on everything. But if I angle it the other way, there's a mirror, there's a window. So like the light comes in and you can't even see the face and stuff. So this is kind of like my thing. This isn't like a flex, like, hey, I work out or anything. I hardly ever even use this shit, to be honest. As you can tell, definitely not anything on the lower body for sure. But yeah, it's just creeping back here. But this is just a little temporary setup, and definitely not going full Bryson. I don't think I even have the capability of putting on that kind of weight, regardless of what I ate. So I'll continue to hit my, my little pot shots out there and try to figure it out from there.
And just use the old trusty putter.
Just use the heart, you know what I mean? Just use grit and heart. That's what I'm all about. Heart beats talent all day. Yeah,
100%, 100%. So let's get into it. When you first came on, we didn't touch on your early playing days that much. We were just playing around the golf, shooting the shit about, golf playlists and caddies and the mini tours and whatnot. Yeah. We didn't get quite in, and I'm sure you get this all the time. You played at TCU. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually just kind of getting on this college golf wave. I was watching repeats of the SEC championship last night. And that's like my thing now, where I see the tour guys. I'm like, where'd he go to school? Like, who did he play against? All that stuff. Yeah. who did you play against while you were in college? Because you were in college while some absolute dudes were there, and I'm sure you were one of them,
Mm.
as well as your co-host, Colt Nost. So who were some of those guys that you played against at TCU? Because that's one thing that I always love to like look back and say, oh, I played against that guy in college. Like that's
Yeah,
cool.
man. There were some dudes coming out. It was a really good class, when I was in there that we were competing against. I don't know if I would call myself a dude, one of the dudes. I wasn't a Walker Cup or anything like that. I had a whatever kind of college career. I won one time. I won our conference tournament as a sophomore, had some close calls and
Clutch.
things like that. Yeah, of course. And then disappointed for my last 2 years. No, but I was all right. But I mean, the dudes, I get the question sometimes like, who's the best player you've ever played with, right? And I say, at the time I was competing, like since I've gotten out of golf and even towards the tail end of playing professionally, like I got to play with some of the top guys in the world, right? But at the time that I was competing, if you want to say like, who's the best guy you ever played against in terms of, I don't think I can beat this guy. Like no matter what, it would have had to have been Anthony Kim in college. The first time I played with him, 36 hole day in Houston at Texas's University of Texas hosted this tournament down there, co-host with A&M, and we played the course where they play the PGA event, right? The Shell down there, or used to play. It's no longer there anymore, but it's a hard pitch, and it was cold, windy. Wind was blowing the opposite direction of normal, so all the long par fours were not playing even longer. They're into the wind, and I played the 36 hole day with him, dude. And he shot, it was either 8 or 9 under he shot on the 36 hole day. He was the only guy under par, and he had a 10 shot lead after 36 holes, which is, I mean, that's hard to do. 10 shot beat. And this was like the best college teams in the country. It's like Texas. We were pretty good at the time. Georgia Tech, UCLA, all the teams and things. And he had a 10 shot lead. And I remember finishing that day, getting in the van and going back to the rest of my team. Like, dude, there ain't nobody here that can fuck with Anthony. Like, he is that much better than everybody. It's a joke. That was the most impressive golf I've ever seen. So AK to me was like the guy when I was in college. But you had, I mean, DJ. We didn't really run up against DJ much because he was out at Coastal. We were in Texas. We kind of played, we didn't play against his team very often, but you'd run into him in amateur events in the summer and things like that. Webb Simpson was a monster. You got Kevin. All the dudes from Georgia were good. Georgia was a beast back. They had, Kevin Kisner. Harris English was a little bit later. Brian Harmon was on that team. Let me try to think of some more. Luke List was really good at the time, right? JB Holmes was a couple years older than me, but I remember the first time I saw him play, I was like, holy shit. I'd never seen guys, hit it like that off the tee. Who are some of the others? I mean, that whole 2007, that's the year that I graduated. That whole Walker Cup team was arguably Billy Horschel. There's another one. He was a really good player. So, I mean, there was a lot of talented guys at that time, and you could kind of pick out the ones that you thought would make it. And then there's a couple guys maybe that I thought would make it and didn't make it, but pretty much you knew that those guys that I just mentioned, like these guys are going to do something.
Yeah, it's crazy when you look back, and I think of there's like two types of guys that make it. It's just the physical freaks that can strike the ball in your case, or in my case, they hit the ball a mile, they throw cheddar, and just have dirty shit. And then there's just the good baseball players. Like just they do everything right. They're so consistent. They're just grinders. Those are like the two categories that I would like try and fit guys into when like thinking, oh, can they play, at the highest level?
Yeah, like I would say if you had to pick a guy, it's like he's always been good. There's no he doesn't have a superpower, right? He's not flying at 320 in the air or doing anything crazy, but he's just rock solid across the board, like Webb Simpson. He would win a lot. And you'd watch him hit balls like, I can hit it like that. You'd watch him chip, I could chip like that. I can putt like that. And then he would just beat you every single week. He just, no weaknesses and never really messed up, just limited mistakes. But he did it in like a relatively normal way. And then you had your guys like DJ. I remember the first time I saw DJ hit it, I was like, Jesus Christ, like that is a missile coming off of there. And you just knew at the time, and DJ was really good in college, but you just kind of like watching him play, you're like, dude, that raw material, like nobody else has that. So the more he plays, the longer he plays, the more he figures it out and like kind of ramps it, takes his misses from here to here, gets a little tighter around the greens and with the putter. I was like, dude, his upside is, I mean, just enormous. Like in my opinion, comparing like a Webb and a DJ, is like Webb's going to be great and he's always going to be great. But if DJ figures it out and he's playing his best golf and Webb's playing his best golf, like I don't think anybody can beat this guy over here, the DJ. You know what I mean? And AK, I would put like in elite talent level, but didn't quite have like the gas off the tee that a DJ has. I mean, very few did, right? I mean, maybe Luke List or JB Holmes did, but like AK was definitely plenty long, and he just had that crazy talent, like any shot shape, any flight, any things like that, that just you don't see on like a college level very often. You knew he was special, and I wouldn't say he had technically a superpower, but he had just like a super talent, you know?
And the best part about it, he was probably out the night before.
Oh,
Like you knew he absolutely loves to get after it.
he beat to his own drum, that's for sure. There was nobody telling him, coaches, whoever, telling him what to do. It was basically like, hey, you're lucky I'm on your team, but I'm going to do exactly what I want to do, and I'll see you guys at the golf course, and I'll probably shoot the best score on the team every single day.
Yeah, that Ryder Cup story is, I think that's like one of my all-time. It's got to be a top 3 all-time favorite golf story, because we've all had that moment. Not, of course, on the Ryder Cup stage, but it's like you feel so good after just dominating hungover. And like that's that, like those are some of your greatest. You think of that of your greatest athletic accomplishments. Like, God, I was hungover this game. I just shoved it up their ass. It's like AK doing that on a Ryder Cup stage is unbelievable.
Yeah, and there's certain dudes like that, and like there's a ton of like fairy tales out there about AK, and there's some stories that are true out there about AK. But he's a guy that like he thrived on that. Like he needs to do that. You know what I mean? Like I think if you locked AK in a hotel room and said, get room service, don't go out, go to bed early, stretch, do all this, I don't think he would play it. Like I think he'd go insane. He needs like that outlet and that reprieve and all that type of shit in order to get his best stuff out. Right? John Daly, same way, right, dude? Like we all know the stories about Daly. Like if you did the same thing with Daly, it's like, I need you at the range tomorrow at 8. I need you to go see your physio. Then you're gonna have a little mental coaching and you're gonna go see your teacher. Dude. He would hate golf so bad, and he would not have done anything like he did. These guys that are special like that, you just gotta kind of let them do their thing. And I think AK, like, you know, he clearly could thrive in that type of scenario, whether he was out till 3 a.m. the night before, or like some guys need to be in bed at a certain time practicing, doing all that. AK didn't need that.
Yeah, we need more of that. We definitely need.
There's not many dudes that could do it though. You know what I mean? Like
right.
you might be that guy, but you might go show up hungover and shoot 80. You know what I mean? AK might do it and shoot 66. Like that's, you know, it ain't easy.
Oh, I've had my shit performances when I've been hungover too.
Sometimes I probably like the mental though, when you're all hungover, like the bar lowers, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, dude, I feel like shit. Just let me scrape it around this place and get in and get done. That the bar becomes so low that like that's the saying, like beware the injured golfer. Sometimes when you have a little nagging injury or whatever, you lower the bar like mentally for yourself, and then all of a sudden there's no expectations and you can actually go out there and kind of free. Like, well, I'm supposed to play like shit today, so anything else is bonus, and you can go out there and kind of trick yourself into playing some good golf.
Right. Okay. So you go to TCU, you get that clutch, you know, that championship, that one title, but yes. I mean, hey, one's better than none. And then you're trying to play professional. You grind on the mini tours, the minor leagues of golf, the Jicky Jacks. Tell us about that. How do you get into that? And I mean, there's 6 million tours out there. Do you just hop around? Are you just like a tour whore where you just go to each tour and just kind of, oh, there's a tournament here, tournament there? How does that kind of work?
A little bit. It's so different now than it was when I was coming out, because now like basically the mini tour scene is like gone, right? There's nowhere to go. Like it's you have to go to the developmental tours. You got to go to Canada, where I played for 4 or 5 years. You go to Latin America, you go overseas and play. And that's your way to like try to get to the web.com. Well, back before that, when I was first coming out, there was like each section of the US, basically the West and the Southeast, had really good mini tour setup. So like, for instance, in Scottsdale, where I'm from, we had a tour called the Gateway Tour, and it ran basically from January through, I would call it April was like the good months, right? But like, dude, you'd have tour players that would come before they were getting their first tour start. They'd come playing it. Everybody flooded out here because the purses were real. Like you win 18, 20 grand, you know, sometimes more than that for a win. You could legitimately, like I had years out there where I'd go on a run in the winter, and I'd be like, dude, I've already made more than I'm going to spend this year. So everything I make from this point forward is like profit. You could make like legit money. I mean, I say legit money, like enough to stay playing golf, which is what everyone's trying to do until you get to the PGA Tour, right? I just need to make enough to keep going.
And live in Scottsdale.
You don't have to travel. You don't got to go anywhere. You're driving within like 30 minutes. So that tour was like legit good. They had double waves. You know, it was only 54 hole events, but it was good players, and you had to learn to go shoot, you know, 18, 17, sometimes 20 under in 3. I taught you like to go low. I mean, we're not playing Quail Hollow or some, you know, Riviera or some of the courses aren't as tough as the tour, but you got to make birdies, and there's a mindset to that. So you could do all that back in the day, which you can't do now. Now it's basically you got to qualify for Canada and that type of stuff. And there just aren't enough tours in the US, like mini tours, to make any money. So there's nowhere for these guys to go. But yeah, I would play on that out west. Then I'd go to Canada in the summer. I'd pop back down and play some Monday qualifiers or things like that. Or when I had my web.com card, if I wasn't getting in a week or I missed it on Monday or something, I'd find the nearest like mini tour event. If I was in the Southeast, I go play this tour called the e-golf tour. And it was kind of like the gateway of the West Coast, right? You could make legit money. Good players, great players came off of that tour that are making millions right now on the PGA Tour. So there was way more options back then. It was easier, I would say, to like, if you were one of the good players on the mini tours, like each coast had the guys that like won all the time and dominated. It was like the same 10 guys, call it. If you were one of those 10 guys, you could make like legit money, turn a profit. You know, I had years where I was making over 100 grand, you know, multiple years playing mini tours, which you cannot do anymore. I mean, it just doesn't exist. So that was the way I was able to like keep my, you know, my bankroll enough to where I could go to Q school, play another year, do all that type of stuff.
Dude, if that was around, like, if that was still around, that is such an awesome career path. Just be a mini tour
Dude,
legend.
there's some like, if you talk to, I mean, we have a lot of these guys that I played with on the mini tours, like shared hotel rooms and stuff on Subpar. And like to a man, I asked him, like, yo, tell me, I know you've gone on to have a big career, but what was the most fun you ever had playing golf? Like, oh, dude, Canada, Gateway Tour. You travel with your boys. If somebody wins, everybody wins. You know what I mean? You're going out, you're spending the money, you're sending it. You got no wife, no kids, no family. It's totally different. It's just, you can just be selfish. It's all you. And I mean, like legitimately looking back on it, that was some of the most fun times. You're all trying to do the same thing, but you got your own little clique and you like, those are your guys and you're rooting for them. And it was a fun time. I mean, you know, trying to scrap 2 or 3 guys in a hotel room on the road ain't necessarily the most, you know, glamorous lifestyle, but dude, it's fun. It's like probably playing like minor league ball. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, yeah.
Bunch of dudes out there hanging with your guy. We're playing cards every single night in between tournaments, drinking, going out and having fun. I mean, it's just like a fun experience as you're all out there trying to make it to the tour.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to get like philosophical about it too, you would never travel to some of these places voluntarily as well.
Ever.
You know, I was just telling you before this, you just got back from Charlotte, Forest City, North Carolina. Bro, it's a town of 7,000 people. There's like 2 fucking stoplights. You shop at Dollar General, all of that shit. I got this big jar of peanuts, lasted me the whole summer there. It was dope. But like these places you would never voluntarily go to, and you're like, God, you know, I went out in Forest City, North Carolina. I mean, it's cool to look back on that and say, you know, I've experienced that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I saw places I'd never see. I remember going to this place called Garden City, Kansas, that had this this cool. You played with like amateurs, right? It was like a pro-am for the mini tours, but the whole city, it was like the biggest thing in that city, so they would all rally behind it. You know what I mean? And it was like actually turned into a cool. It's a tiny town, but the event turned into cool. It was like the biggest thing they had going in that town. You know what I mean? So you're going to some of these kind of podunk towns and places you'd never see before, but it was like cool the support they got because like that was their Super Bowl, that was their biggest thing. You know what I mean? And it made for like a pretty cool environment going to some of those joints.
What's your post-game meal or post-round meal? Like I'm assuming all they have is chain restaurants there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a huge chain restaurant guy. You know, I've ranked them before on my podcast. I could talk for hours about just the menus at Red Robin, Outback, Applebee's, you name it. What's your go-to post round?
Outback was like a treat at times. You know what I mean? Treat was like, yo, I played good. Like, let's hit some Outback. You know what I mean? Yeah. Things like, but like, Bread. I probably ate more Chipotle in the States for however many, because like you'd get, let's say you're an afternoon tea time and you tee off at 1:30 and the rounds take 5 hours on the mini tours and things like that. And then you get done and it's like, all right, this is the only thing open. I just want to be done. I tee off early in the morning and things like that. I got to go home. And it was like, I ate Chipotle 500 times in, you know, a year at that time. So I just abused Chipotle.
That's how, I'm not calling you old or anything, but I had no idea Chipotle was around while you were like for that long. I don't know.
Oh my God, dude. How old do you think I am, bro?
You're like,
I was eating Chipotle in like high 30s, school, I think.
Like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea Chipotle was around for that long.
I actually think one of the first Chipotles was in my hometown though. It started in Colorado. And so I think I was one of the first, when it first popped, we were like, whoa. I mean, we were just smashing that thing in high school. Yeah.
Dude, you just taught me something new. You learned
there
something
you go.
new.
There you go.
I love that's why.
A little fun fact.
Yep. So then obviously we covered it on the vlog where you went by the sleaze, you were given financial advice, which
Yeah.
that's just what that was one of the funniest moments of those first 4 episodes doing
I
that.
was like Madoff. Yeah. I was like a little junior Madoff.
I love it.
Please. Yeah.
Let me tell you about these interest rates from
Yeah.
sleaze.
Sleaze Financial Services.
Yeah. And then you get into, the media biz. You have this natural talent, people gravitate towards you, and you come up with this well, you're on Sirius first, and then you come up
Yeah.
with this little podcast that has, I mean, divot heads know it. Like all divot heads know it. You come up with this monster of a podcast with Cold Nose. How wild has it been? Did you envision it growing this much? Did you envision it becoming, this awesome within the span of a year?
Man, well, thank you for saying that. But man, when I first had this concept and golf.com kind of wanted to pick, they're like, yeah, we want to do that. We want to get younger and do all that. I had like ambitions that it would, and I thought it could be something cool. Because just speaking as a golfer, I was like, yeah, I see all these guys and all these interviews, but I don't really know these guys. You know what I mean? Like, we don't hear any cool stories or like how they actually are, like sitting around the bar, sitting around with their boys. You know what I mean? It's all the same shit. Like, hey, how was your round? Oh, I just tried to take it one shot at a time and stay in the process. All the regurgitated bullshit. I was like, if we could open it up, because there are some really cool dudes out here, but nobody knows it. Like, if I didn't know some of my friends and I just saw them give an interview after the round, I'd be like, dork, what a lair. You know what I mean? I was like, no, yeah, exactly.
Suck
but then
it,
you
Joel.
get him. The coolest thing for me is when we do a show and someone will send a message after, like, yo, I used to think that guy, I hated that guy, I didn't like him or whatever. Now I like him. Like, that's he got a new fan or whatever. But I had ambitions that it could do well. I didn't know that it would go like this quickly necessarily, but you realize how many golf people there are out there like starved for that kind of stuff, right? That's why we did it. I was like, this is what I would want to listen to. I would like,
Sure.
we hit real golf and things like that, but we try to just get more like personal. Like, let us talk how you normally talk. You know what I mean? Don't go into like media mode or quote unquote or whatever you want to call it. But man, in terms of its growth, it's been really cool. Like you said, I was just out in Charlotte this past week for Quail. We ended up doing 4 shows, recording 4 shows down there. And so after our last one, I just went out on the course for a little bit, hung out on the range, just saying hi to some of the dudes and all that. And it was like wild how many people came up and said something. Yo, man, love the show. And other players coming up who I really don't even know very well, like, come on, yo, when can I come on? When you guys gonna put me on? I'm waiting on what, I'm not good enough for the show or whatever. And like that kind of stuff was like pretty cool. Well, yeah, we had like who was saying it? Mark Hubbard came over and said like, when can I come on? Who else? Bubba Watson's been saying he wants to come on, things like that. We finally got Harold Varner's been asking for a long time, so we finally got Harold. We recorded that one. That'll drop in a few weeks. But Harold Varner came on. We recorded with Webb Simpson, Xander Schauffele, Harold Varner, and we did a caddy show, which is sweet, actually. So 2 of the coolest caddies on tour. Gino Benelli, he caddies for Joel Damon. He's a great follow on Twitter, funny dude. And then Aaron Fleener, who caddies for JT Poston, who's a fucking beauty of a dude, man. We had both those guys on the same time and just told some stories and asked some like fun questions. That one's like really fun. It's not like the marquee names or whatever, but like that one's going to be really cool too. So yeah, just to see the players and the guys that are like in the game, the guys that we're talking about, every single week, like have that reaction to it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome that you guys have on people from other sports too. Like that's what I'm trying to do is bridge the gap between baseball and golf.
Yeah.
And talk about, talk about golf with baseball players, because I could give a fuck, what you were thinking with 2 strikes in your third AB of the game, dude. Like, yeah. Honestly,
you've heard it all. You know it. You've lived it. All that stuff.
Right. Exactly. So you hit it right on the head. The way you guys, get people to open up, it's awesome. Let's talk some actual golf though. Before we let you go. Once again, thanks for the time.
No sweat.
PGA this year, I believe that golf hasn't been in a better place since Tiger. There's just so many stars on the tour. You guys are obviously, I don't mean to just break out the knee pads here, but you guys are obviously highlighting some of these personalities, and it has attracted, I think it has definitely helped attract more fans to the game. But there is this distance thing, and I think it's so overblown. I think it's like whenever you listen to Subpar, you're talking about, the best ball striker is going to win this tournament. Guy that gets hot with the putter. Rarely is it, he fucking played guerrilla golf this weekend and dominated the course. Now, it can happen, but there's a lot of, noise out there about it before we get into the positives. Do you think it's overblown? And because you look at the guys that play the best golf, the guy from tee to green usually still win.
Yeah, I mean, the reason it's gotten so much attention lately is because Bryson, right? What Bryson did is specifically at Winged Foot. I guess not just specifically at Winged Foot. That was like the big one because that was his first major, and he just pretty much said, "Screw it, I'm not playing traditional U.S. Open style golf where it's like precision, got to hit fairways." He said, "Screw it, these fairways are so small. I'm going to miss them with 3-wood just as much as I'm going to miss them with driver. So I might as well ship it as far as I can and have the shortest club in." It was kind of like a reverse of what the USGA wants to see. They want to see guys hitting fairways and things like that. But in terms of like the length thing being overblown, length has always been an issue. I mean, you can go back to the Nicklaus era when he was winning stuff. He was the longest guy, and people were like, like, what do we do about these golf courses? And then Pro V1 comes out. Oh my God, it's going to ruin the game. And then, they eliminate they tone back the grooves on the wedges. That was supposed to be a huge thing. Like, this is always going to be a thing, and guys are just getting bigger, stronger, faster. Guys that look like DJ didn't exist in the 80s. They weren't playing golf. They were, they were pitchers or playing basketball or whatever. We're just getting bigger, stronger, faster. But like, everyone on tour wants to hit it further. If you look at the money list and you look at driving distance, those two things correlate more than any other stat on the PGA Tour. So the longer guys are going to have an advantage pretty much everywhere, minus a couple of golf courses. But it's not like, hey, I'm a shitty putter. I'm not very good with my wedges. My iron play sucks. But if I can just learn to hit bombs, I'll start winning on the PGA Tour. No, it's like there's a couple guys that move it crazy, and Bryson's not even the longest guy. When he won the U.S. Open, he wasn't even the longest guy in the field, dude.
That's what I'm saying. They're all similar.
Yeah, and Matt Wolff was like blowing it by him in the final round. You know what I mean? So like he was sixth on the driving distance that week, and he won, and he's getting all this attention. So it's like, dude, there are other aspects. Does it help to hit it far? Of course. Does it help to hit it far and straight? Yeah. If you can do that, you can get away with being pretty mediocre at a lot of other things, but it's not everything. And so many guys are like jammed up that it's like, all right, Bryson's number one in driving distance, let's just say, even though it's Cameron Champ, but whatever, wherever Bryson stands, it's like right around 320. All right, well, a lot of these guys that are like, all right, this guy's number 60th. Well, he's still hitting at 305,
Right,
it's 15
exactly.
yards.
Everyone's hitting it far.
It's not like, it's not like it's 50 yards. Is Bryson going to wear out Brian Gay pretty much every single place they go play? Yeah, because he's hitting it 55 yards ahead of him. I don't care how good you are with all your other stuff. You're not going to beat a guy like that. But when you got Xander Schauffele only 15 yards behind you, yeah, dude, I'll roll the dice if Xander's going to hit 3 more fairways around than you, and the way he is with his putter, like you could still beat it. It's not like just hit bombs and you all of a sudden win everything. Otherwise, people wouldn't be worried about anything else. Look, Rory's the best driver of the golf ball on the planet, would be in the conversation for the best in the history of golf right now if he quit right now. And he started chasing distance because of Bryson. And
dude, yeah,
it went
that's
out
what
of
I
whack,
was.
right? It's like, dude, why would you focus? You're literally the best driver ever, and you're not even that far behind him right now without even trying to gain distance. Why don't you focus on your wedges, your putter, and things like that? That's where Bryson gets way too much attention for his length and his speed. It looks like he's hitting as hard as he can. He is long, but he's not crazy longer than everyone else. But he is so good around the greens, so good with his putter. He won that U.S. Open around the greens. He didn't win it off the tee.
He puts the shit out of it, dude.
Yeah, he didn't win it off the
shit
tee.
out of it.
He won it all around the greens, in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually wrote that part down about Rory. Is like Rory got fucking rattled because Bryson's out driving it barely. I think Rory had better ball speed in the tournament that Bryson won.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Rory can get it up there 180s, you know what I mean? Like, no problem.
And his short game, he hasn't been making putts all year. And like, I love Rory, but like, that's not the issue with his game right now. And
yeah,
I completely agree. It's all about all these guys are bunched together. Like JT drives the absolute. He hits missiles. He's like Mookie Betts. I always talk about that on the show. I compare JT to Mookie Betts. He hits any sort of shot, anything. He does drive the shit out of it, but tee to green, he's also can shape it. So I just think there's more completeness that goes along. Like the distancing, I just think it's lazy. And like you said, it probably goes around like it's gone around throughout history.
Cameron Champ's the longest guy in the world, or the longest guy on the PGA Tour. Does he win every single week? Are we talking about Cam Champ every week going in? Who's the favorite? Who's not? Well, there's the longest guy, and he ain't one of the names that comes up. He ain't in the top 10. He ain't in the top 20. You know what I mean? If that was all it took, then he'd be the guy, and he's not. There's a lot more others. There's a lot of other shit that goes into it, and Bryce is good. He's good at everything, and yeah, he's turned into a beast, and he's hitting it further. But there's a lot more that goes into it than that.
I love it. I love it. As far as, by the way, Champ and Finau were awesome to watch when they were
Yeah, they
paired
were
up together. That was really
moving
cool.
the rock, that
That
group.
was wild.
Yeah.
Seems like there's what, 6 guys that you would put in the top tier, 5 guys you would put
Yeah.
in the top tier. Then there's, a plethora of motherfuckers that can jump into that top tier, that eliteness of players. Who is the guy that you think that is going to make that next step? And you can't say Morikawa. I think once you
Yeah,
win
well,
a PGA championship, you
yeah.
can't say that. So who's the guy that's going to take that next step?
I'll give you 2, and if you want the one that I think will do it first, it's Xander Schauffele. He's 4th in the world right now, and he hadn't
Right.
won in years. He literally never plays bad. I think Xander's bad golf might be the best of the bad golf on the planet. Like his bad is finishing 18th. You know what I mean? Like it is so hard to get to top 5 in the world without winning multiple times. You know what I mean? Like winning multiple times in the span of a couple years or however long the points go back. It's really, really hard to do. He's like 5th or 4th, I believe, on the U.S. Ryder Cup team or something like that right now, without having won during while they're distributing the points. I mean, that is so hard to do because the points are so weighted towards the top. I think Xander Schauffele, if he gets, we just did an interview with him and I was talking about like you're rock solid everywhere. What is one area where you can improve? And he said just around the greens, like my short game is not up to snuff. It needs to be a little bit better. He's like, luckily I hit it, tee to green, I'm really good. So I don't have to hit that many pitches, in a given week when I'm hitting it good. But he's like, I leave myself 7 feet, 8 feet, as opposed to like kick-ins, like good short game players would do. And he's been, I think he's had 8 runner-ups since his last win. I mean, he just tightens the screws this much, and it's a joke. Like he's close to dominating. He would be one of the guys, and the other guy that I think is extremely comparable, and it's also his best friend is Patrick Cantlay.
Are they actually best friends? Because
they're like legit
they're so
best friends.
synonymous with each
Oh,
other.
dude, they're like,
and I didn't know that they were best friends. I just look at them as the two.
yeah,
Xander
their
and
golf
Patrick.
games are the same. They're flat line,
Yeah.
no emotion, perfect shot after perfect shot, no weaknesses, all that stuff. I'd say Patrick Cantlay would be another guy that I expect to like. I think he's built for U.S. Opens, tough golf courses, places where, closer to level par wins, just because he doesn't make that many mistakes. And he's going through a little spell right now with his putter. He's starting to move it around, but like historically, he's an awesome putter. He also had some time off and had some personal stuff too that kind of took a little time out of his career. So whatever age he is right now, he hasn't really had the same amount of time as other guys that age. But I think those are the 2 guys I would pinpoint if you want to say they like neither of them won a major. I think both of them win majors, and I think both of them become top. Xander's already there, but like top 5 players in the world.
Right. Awesome. Well, you mentioned the Ryder Cup. That Xander's 4th in the world. Who are your other? You're big Ryder Cup guy. I'm a huge Ryder Cup guy. I watched the Ryder Cup before I was even like into golf, just because I love the fans. I love the electricity. It's where they actually can show,
awesome.
like,
Yeah,
talk
dude.
a little
It
shit.
feels like a sporting event. Yeah.
Oh, it's a spectacle. I fucking love it. Obviously have your top 6. We were talking the other day, and I said Horschel needs to be a lock for the U.S. to win. We need the lunch pail guys. We have the stars. We need those guys that get in and just get their hands dirty.
Yeah, we got
Thoughts?
Patrick Reed would be that guy, right? He's kind of the bulldog, whether you love him or hate him or whatever. He shows up at these things. He wants to rip your face off and stomp on it. He's a killer, like straight up, whatever you want to say about him. He wants to murder you out there, embarrass you. You need guys like that. And he's also, the reason we lose is because we get out putted every single time. They make putts. We don't make putts. We need good putters. Patrick Reed's that, you know what I mean? Like he's a guy you want on that team. He'll be on that team. Billy Horschel's another guy. Match play gets his juices going, whatever it is. He wants the same exact type. We had him on our show. He talked about. He's like, I love it. Nothing would make me happier than to be a part of a U.S. Ryder Cup team. I think if he's a bubble guy at the end, you got to weight the fact that he won the only match play tournament on the PGA Tour, right? Being that you're going into the Ryder Cup, which is match play, I think that carries more weight a little bit than like a stroke play event if you're comparing 2 guys on the bubble. And then another guy, if you want like a sleeper that's not in the top 12 or top 15 right now, Will Zalatoris, who's just on a beeline up the world golf rankings. He's had way less time to accumulate points. He's only got special temporary membership earlier this year. He has gotten many fewer starts.
So stupid.
It's tough, but he's gotten these points. I think he's around top 20 right now on the Ryder Cup standings, but he's done it with half the time that other guys have had to accumulate points. He's a beast. Tee to green, he's a monster. And I expect him to be on a bunch of Ryder Cup teams going forward. But like, you look at him since he got special temporary membership, there ain't many events that he isn't in the top 20. He's going to be, and he's in the top 5 best ball strikers on the planet right now since he came out. So he's that you can kind of count on that. That's a good thing to count on too. You gotta have a little bit of both. You know what I mean? But you need some guys that can hold some putts in big situations. Poulter's done it year after year for them. We need guys to match that. But when you get in alternate shot and things like that, man, you need guys that can put the club on the ball, and Will does it about as good as anybody.
And guys that like the moment. He seems like a dude that just relishes in that big stage.
How about Augusta
moment.
as a rookie going out there and doing what he did, finishing runner-up first time? I mean, dude, you don't do that without some big stones. So yeah,
and in the U.S. Open last year.
Yeah, played great there. I mean, dude, he hasn't really played bad since we've seen him out there.
No, it seems like you guys talk about that on Subpar. Like, you guys were I'll credit you guys. You guys were on the Salamander train.
Yeah,
I'm actually looking.
You get the scoop kind of on the way up from like, yo, who's the guy? I remember guys talking about Sung J M when he first came out. They're like, dude, this kid's a fucking beast. You know what I mean? Like when the same name keeps coming up when you're talking to guys, like who's next? Who's the next guy? And you hear 5 guys all mention the same name from the 5, guys that have been on tour for a long time and know what they're talking about. Then you start to know like, all right, there's something there.
Yeah, some guy on the Canadian tour was at the range yesterday, and I was hitting, and he was talking with someone that exact same thing came up. They're like, yeah, Zalatoris gets a little yippy sometimes with the putter. Ball striking is absolutely lights out. I'm looking at the standings right now. So it's DJ, Bryson, sponsorship, DeChambeau, JT, Morikawa, Xander, and Koepka. Now, we don't know if Koepka is going to play, but then you got Reed, you got Finau, you got Webb Simpson, your guy Webb, which I think would be awesome. I think Spieth has to. I mean, that dude's got to be on the team. So I think there's going to be some ridiculous. Homa's at 16. You got Scotty baby. Harris English is having a great year. I don't know how Matt Wolff is 20th.
He's going through a little bit of a stretch right now where he doesn't have his best stuff. But I honestly think I don't think you see Steve Stricker get 6 captain's picks, right? I think you might see at the absolute most 2 picks outside of the top 12. I think it's 1. I think he'll take 1. I don't see him leaving off more than 1 guy that's in that top 12. And you would go with like a Zalatoris or something like that, right? But, the other thing is Will Zalatoris will miss the entire FedEx Cup playoffs unless he wins because he's not technically a member. So he's going to have all those playoffs to not stack up points and things like that. So that's a tough deal for him. You know what I mean? To take up, then that's right before the Ryder Cup.
He falls to like 60th.
I haven't played a competitive round of golf in 4 weeks, but now it's shipped me to the Ryder Cup. Like that's a bit tough too.
Yeah. God, man, there's I can't wait. I'm really excited for it. Your boy Gary Woodland, he's going through some stuff too, but also I would just love watching him if he made it. That'd be awesome. Found a way to win a tournament here. Some ways to get to know you here. You guys do the E9. I looked this up actually, and I found it, but I still got to ask you to see if it's changed. Your T intro song, and this is something that I really want to change in the PGA Tour. I want to give everyone a walk-in song. Yeah, like everyone, like first tee or on a Sunday. I mean, most notably the 16th hole at Waste Management. Ideally, we have. This is my idea, and let me know what you think. Grade it, scale 1 to 10. Bruce Buffer, or Michael Buffer, whichever one of the, or both. Like that. We get both the Buffers.
Okay.
And they tag team it. They tag team the 16th hole, and they're doing the introduction, and then you get a walk-in song for the Waste Management 16th hole. And then maybe we evolve. We're like, hey, maybe this is actually a fucking cool thing, that these guys get walk-in songs and can show off their personality a little bit. And then it just kind of spreads throughout every tournament. So what do you think of that?
I love the Buffer call there, and I'm actually I got a little bit of weight in that term. I'm a Thunderbird, the group that puts it on, and we're always looking for ways to up the ante, I guess, on 16. What can we do new? If it became enclosed for the first time, that was the thing. Then we're always looking for how do you up it? How do you make it keep making it better and better? And the walk-up song thing has been proposed before, so we'll see what happens. I love that Bruce Buffer, but there's a ton of guys that would embrace that and love that and be like, yes, absolutely, walk-up song. I want it to be some guys that hey, no, I just, they don't do anything and just try to get through that hole without embarrassing themselves and get to 17 as quick as they can. But you can give every guy the option. Like, if you want a walk-up song, you can have it. If you don't. But I think there's a lot of guys that would embrace that. Yeah, it'd be sick.
I mean, if you don't embrace it, like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
you have to. If you
Like,
don't,
come
you're
on,
gonna get
dude.
buried even more. If you
Right,
hit it, if
yeah,
you
it's
do embrace it and hit a bad shot and kind of like, people are like, all right, cool, he gets it. You know what I mean?
right.
Where if you don't and you
Tale as old as
back
time.
off and quiet the crowd and all that, they're gonna kill you even more.
Leads to more bullying. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So let's say you get the invite next year. Let's say someone's dropping out. We need the Thunderbird. Second year, sophomore Thunderbird.
Yes.
Drew Sleezy Stoltz and Bruce Buffer, of course, gives you that legendary intro. What song is playing?
All right, most guys go with like pump up songs, hype ups, like Enter Sandman or something like that. I'm gonna go the opposite way. I'm gonna go with Salt and Pepper. What a Man. That's always been what I said I would come up to. Kind of a little spoof, like make fun of myself, maybe do a little dance, a little twirl.
Mm-hmm.
Tip the cap to the ladies, and then probably lay sod over an 8-iron into the front bunker and get booed. But I'd probably go up there with What a Man, Salt and Pepper. I don't think anyone's ever done. I've never heard anyone like Zurich this year, right? They gave the guys walk-up songs. I haven't heard that one used. So if someone steals that from me, there'll be a lawsuit coming their way.
I would be really interested to see some of these guys like walking songs, because you get some in baseball, at least, you had some absolutely absurd walking songs. I would kind of switch it. You can go with a joke like that. In summer ball one time, we all changed our walking song to the same song. So the entire game, the same song just played for 9 innings. Yeah, 9 innings. So I would like it maybe if let's say a Ricky goes with like a DMX or something like that. It would be very interesting.
You'd get some different stuff out of these dudes. Trust me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think Tony Finau told me he'd go with Post Malone.
Okay.
Get some of that. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I've been told people would go with. I don't know. It would be across the board. I think you get a little bit of everything. You'd have some hip hop. You'd have the Southern dudes. You'd get some country in there too.
Right.
I think you'd have a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, this has been seriously awesome. I really appreciate it. If you have any final notes that you would like to get off to the audience, the listeners, go ahead. You want to go ahead and throw in a good word with my favorite golfer, Abe Answer, by all means, go ahead.
There's another guy, Abe, another guy that could sneak up there in terms of like who's next to pop. Abe could be a guy too. He's right in the mix. And now that he's become a tequila, mogul, golf might be secondary for him. He's about to be George Clooney Jr. and Casamigos sell for $1 billion. Their tequila's really good too. That Fletcher Azul's good. So
yeah, you guys are getting amongst it.
Get you a little sample of that. We hit a little bit of everything. I was like, dude, we need to chill this thing out.
You get like sauced or buzzed sometimes when you guys, like, I'm assuming you guys are sipping a little, like you guys are sipping, but I mean, do you kind of have to like get to a point where you're like, oh shit, like I'm kind of getting, I gotta rein it in here a little bit, like getting a little sauce.
Once even in Charlotte this past week, I kind of feel myself. I was like, all right, I got to, because I had one where the Jordan Spieth interview, like the last 15 minutes, dude, we've been drinking all day. We played golf out in the sun. I had a million drinks, and then we had a little bit of a break. We went into the bar, and I got one more drink. And dude, they're in these big ass like styrofoam cups, and they're like the huge ones, like you'd get at a movie theater. And I was like, I'll just get one for the show. Dude pours it for me. I go out there. By the end of the show, I was blasted. And like Jordan said something about like, we're having a good time. It was fun though. I mean,
yeah, of course.
We're trying to, it's supposed to be like, 3 dudes sitting around the table after a round. But yeah, we've had some good times, and I've had to watch myself on a few occasions.
Oh, dude.
But it makes it fun. I mean, shit, these guys do so many serious interviews. Like, it wasn't like I was vomiting on the table or anything, but we were having fun.
That would still be pretty funny.
I might try to do that. Don't shut the door on that. That could happen.
You and Damon should do the 21 White Claw challenge where you guys just do that on a podcast or just all day or something like that.
Yeah, he's a monster with that White Claw. I don't drink a whole lot of White Claw, so we might have to handicap that a little bit. But yeah, Joel can put down some claws, dude.
Give you some strokes.
Smash, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. This has seriously been awesome. Thanks for taking the time. And good luck, man. This Subpar, I'm sure the Sirius show, you get to do it every day. It's amazing, but I don't have a Sirius membership. So I consume you and Colt through Subpar, and it's I look forward to it every week. It's awesome.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I respect your hustle. You're doing a great job, and let me know. We'll run it back again.
Always, brother.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
dude. You got it. Be good.